fact, let me just be very, very brief. If you could summarize, like, as we just kind of wrap this up, what would you say compared to some of our key adversaries? Where's our biggest deficient area that we need to focus on? So, and then if we want to say Russia and China, that's great. Or if you feel like there's other adversaries that could be targeting, what areas are we most vulnerable? I'd love to just get your candid thoughts. It's not scripted or anything like that. And I'll pause there.
So I'd say our biggest vulnerability is our reliance on active sensors and wide area high power networks. When we have to operate inside the near abroad of China or Russia, we're on their turf. They're the home team. They've got their sensor networks out there. They're able to listen for any of our emissions. So the fact that our ships and our airplanes have to rely to a great degree on active radars to be able to do missile defense or active radars to find targets, and then on these wide area networks like Link 16 to communicate makes us, very, very detectable. It makes it easy for them to figure out what we're doing and attack us. That is our biggest vulnerability, I think, is this home team advantage that the Chinese and Russians have, and the fact that we need to develop new technologies and tactics to be able to still operate in those contested areas using passive sensors and multi-static sensors and LPI, low probability intercept, low probability of defection sensors. So it's a different approach that we need to mount, which is uncomfortable in a lot of ways for the military forces of today.
From my perspective, I would offer we have to ensure that we train as we intend to fight. In many cases, I think we actually have an adequate understanding of adversary capabilities. But when you look at the operational level and we bring operational units together to train before a deployment, we want to make sure that we exercise our command and control network in a way that demonstrates that we have command and control over those forces and we're able to execute everything we want. That is exactly what either China or Russia would attempt to fight us in. And it's an area when we prepare, we have to make sure we get right. At the operational level, I would offer that. At the strategic level, the other thing I would offer is, I believe from the 3 different testimonies that this subcommittee has received so far this year for this session of Congress, this is the first one that does not have a former Deputy Secretary of Defense, either acting or confirmed in the role, who is appearing. And so making sure that at the strategic level, the investment that we are making is aligned with where we want the strategy to go, and making sure there is that senior leader buy-in from the budgeting side.
I would say it's kind of a melding of those two areas. 2 things. The first is, from that strategic level, the appreciation of where and how vital the EM spectrum operations are to that entire information environment. As I mentioned, its importance to everything from strategic messaging, information operations, cyber. That incorporation and appreciation from the strategic, operational, and tactical level is crucial, and we're not quite there. The other one is much more of the kind of the pace, that technology, doctrine, learning pace. One of the dangers of inviting a historian to testify is you're going to get some examples from a long time ago. So in 1914, armies marched off to war with the appreciation that the machine gun was an awesome weapon. They had the machine guns set up in separate units that you kind of used them where you needed them. Well, it didn't take long to figure out that that was the wrong way to use them. And the army that figured out first that machine guns need to be deployed in numbers throughout specific units to support actual operations, they had an advantage right away. And that was the German army did that. Right now, we're kind of marching off in the 1914. We think of these kind of spectrum operations as enablers for existing operation. And a lot of ways we still treat them that way. They're not as integrated as they need to be throughout the force. A lot of the work we saw characterizes that. So that's the thing the hump we need to get over.
Thank you. I'll deal back. I appreciate the perspective there. Thank you, Chairman.
Very, very good. Thank you, Mr. Moore.